This is Michael Falkner, and it's showtime, the December 13th, 2011 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Let's face facts, folks. This was a rough week for Hollywood wide releases. Limited films, on the other hand, performed quite nicely. This week's rundown starts with number 18 and new release Young Adult, opening in 8 theaters with $310,000. New release Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy opened in 4 theaters at number 17 with $311,000. The per-theater average of $75,000 is the third best of the year behind Midnight in Paris and The Tree of Life. On to the normal countdown, we begin with number 10 and Immortals, down 2 from 8th. At number 9 is Jack and Jill, falling 3 from 6th. In 8th place is Happy Feet 2, down 3 from 5th. In 7th, we find The Descendants, beating the trend and holding steady over the last week. And at 6th place is Hugo, dropping 3 from 3rd. In 5th place is Arthur Christmas, dropping 1 from 4th with $6.5 million and a new total of $33 million. In 4th place is last week's runner-up, The Muppets, adding another $7 million for an updated total of $66 million. In 3rd place, The Vampires gave up first with The Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn Part 1, drawing another $7.8 million for a grand total of $259.4 million. In 2nd is new release The Sitter, premiering with $9.9 million. That take is lower than any other movie with Jonah Hill in a major leading role. The Sitter is also the latest R-rated comedy to fail to break an opening take higher than $13 million, which follows a trend started by The Change-Up back in August. In 1st place, moviegoers like to party with New Year's Eve. The new release took in a rather disappointing $13 million for the first-place film. This is a slow time of year, and the distance from the holiday in question may be a factor, but that opening is still much lower than expectations. There's nowhere to go but up from that performance, and December 16th has a few ideas, starting with Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, an action-adventure film starring Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, and Jared Harris. Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick Dr. Watson join forces to outwit and bring down their fiercest adversary, Professor Moriarty. Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows is rated PG-13. Next up, we have Carnage, a comedic drama starring Jodie Foster, Kate Winslet, and Christoph Waltz. Carnage tells the story of 2 sets of parents who decide to have a cordial meeting after their sons are involved in a schoolyard brawl. Carnage is rated R. Next on the list is Alvin and the Chipmunks, Chipwrecked, an animated comedy starring Justin Long, Matthew Gray Gubler, and Jesse McCartney. Playing around while aboard a cruise ship, the Chipmunks and Chipettes accidentally go overboard and end up marooned on a tropical paradise. They discover their new turf is not as deserted as it seems. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Chipwrecked is rated G. And last on this week's new releases is Corman's World, Exploits of a Hollywood Rebel, a documentary starring Roger Corman, Martin Scorsese, and Quentin Tarantino. Corman's World is a documentary on do-it-yourself producer and director Roger Corman and his alternative approach to making movies in Hollywood. Corman's World, Exploits of a Hollywood Rebel is rated R. December 13th is a light day for home entertainment releases, and that list starts with Kung Fu Panda 2, an animated comedy starring Jack Black, Angelina Jolie, and Jackie Chan. Po joins forces with a group of new Kung Fu masters to take on an old enemy with a new deadly weapon. Kung Fu Panda 2 is rated PG. Next on the list is Rise of the Planet of the Apes, a science fiction drama starring James Franco, Andy Serkis, and Frida Pinto. During experiments to find a cure for Alzheimer's, a genetically enhanced chimpanzee uses greater intelligence to lead other apes to freedom. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is rated PG-13. Up next on the slate is Fright Night, a horror comedy starring Anton Yelchin, Colin Farrell, and David Tennant. A teenager suspects that his new neighbor is a vampire. Fright Night is rated R. From vampires to mercenaries, we move to The Expendables, the extended director's cut, an action film starring Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, and Jet Li. A team of mercenaries is given the assignment to take out a corrupt military leader and a rogue CIA operative on a Latin American island. The Expendables is rated R. Next, we move on to Circumstance, a drama starring Sarah Kazemi, Nicole Boucheri, and Reza Sikso Safai. A wealthy Iranian family struggles to contain a teenager's growing sexual rebellion and her brother's dangerous obsession. Circumstance is rated R. And the main release slate rounds out with The Legend is Born, Ip Man, an action drama starring Young Hong To, Su Wong Fan, and Sammo Hong Kambo. This Hong Kong film is about Ip Man's resistance against invading foreigners, along with his romantic relations while under the tutelage of 3 Wing Chun masters. The Legend is Born, Ip Man is not rated. Next up, we move on to TV on DVD, and we begin with Family Guy, Volume 9, starring Seth MacFarlane and Alex Borstein. There's a killer amongst us as the citizens of Quahog gather at James Wood's mansion for a night of intrigue and murder. Will Peter solve the mystery, or will he just make it worse as usual? Join all your Family Guy favorites for this classic whodunit, plus 13 other hilarious episodes, including the show's milestone 150th episode, the controversial extra-large medium, and more. Next up, we have Switched at Birth, Volume 1, starring Katie Leclerc and Vanessa Morano. Bae Kenish grew up in a wealthy family with her happily married parents and older brother. Daphne Vasquez lost her hearing as a child and grew up with a single mother in a working-class neighborhood. Life as they know it is turned upside down when Bae's school project about blood types reveals she is not genetically related to her parents, and a series of tests confirms that she and Daphne were accidentally switched at birth. Together with their families, Bae and Daphne struggle with their own identities and prejudices against one another, all while facing everyday teenage girl drama, dating, friendships, and family. Next, we move to Spin City, the complete 6th season, starring Charlie Sheen and Heather Locklear. In this final season, Charlie is the deputy mayor of New York City, and his team of halfwits must constantly save the mayor from embarrassment and the media. And TV on DVD winds out with Gunsmoke, the 5th season, Volume 2, starring James Arness, Milburn Stone, and Amanda Blake. Marshal Matt Dillon is in charge of Dodge City, a town in the Wild West where people often have no respect for the law. He deals on a daily basis with the problems associated with frontier life: cattle rustling, gunfights, brawls, standover tactics, and land fraud. Such situations call for sound judgment and brave actions, of which Marshal Dillon has plenty. As always, we finish off our home entertainment releases with some classics coming to Blu-ray. We begin with The Rocketeer, the 20th anniversary edition from 1991. It's an adventure film starring Billy Campbell, Jennifer Connelly, and Alan Arkin. A young pilot stumbles onto a prototype jetpack that allows him to become a high-flying masked hero. The Rocketeer is rated PG. Next on our list is City of God from 2002, a crime drama starring Alexandra Rodriguez, Mateus Nattergale, and Leandro Firmino. 2 boys growing up in a violent neighborhood of Rio de Janeiro take different paths. One becomes a photographer, and the other a drug dealer. City of God is rated R. Next, we go to Meet Me in St. Louis from 1944, a musical starring Judy Garland, Margaret O'Brien, and Mary Astor. In the year before the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, 4 Smith daughters learn the lessons of life and love even as they prepare for a reluctant move to New York. Meet Me in St. Louis is not rated. Next on the list is Stars and Stripes Forever from 1952, a musical biography starring Clifton Webb, Robert Wagner, and Deborah Paget. Stars and Stripes Forever is a film biography of the composer John Philip Sousa from his early days in the Marine Corps Band through the Spanish-American War in 1898. Stars and Stripes Forever is not rated. Next on the list we have Heavenly Creatures from 1994, a crime drama starring Melanie Lynskey, Kate Winslet, and Sarah Pierce. 2 girls have an intense fantasy life. Their parents, concerned the fantasy is too intense, separate them, and the girls take revenge. Heavenly Creatures is rated R. And the last film on this week's list is Velvet Goldmine from 1998, a musical drama starring Ewan McGregor, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, and Christian Bale. In 1984, British newspaper reporter Arthur Stewart is investigating the career of 1970s glam rock star Brian Slade, who was heavily influenced in his early years by American rock singer Kurt Wilde, whose show was quite crazy for his time. Velvet Goldmine is rated R. And now 3 items for you in the Quick Flicks. Legendary Pictures has tapped Chadwick Boseman to play the Brooklyn Dodgers infielder Jackie Robinson in the upcoming 42. Harrison Ford will play baseball executive Branch Rickey. Now, Boseman is a relative newcomer to Hollywood with less than 20 acting credits to his name. This film will follow one of the most pivotal stories in baseball history. Branch Rickey was the Dodgers general manager who decided to sign Jackie Robinson, the first African-American baseball player. On April 15, 1947, Robinson walked on the field for the first time, and over his career he won the Rookie of the Year award, the National League MVP, the World Series championship, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1962. But most importantly, he opened the door for other minorities to join Major League Baseball. No release date has been set for this film. It seems like there's news about Ender's Game every week, and this one is no exception. Ben Kingsley, is in talks to play war hero Mazer Rackham, a pivotal character in the story. If he signs, he'll join Asa Butterfield, Haley Steinfeld, and possibly Harrison Ford in the story of a child that becomes a military genius. I won't discuss too much about Rackham since his character is a major spoiler for the story. He's a major military leader and a source of motivation for our young hero. Ender's Game premieres on March 15th, 2013. And unfortunately, our last story is a sad one. Joseph Farrell, the marketing genius credited as the creator of the modern movie trailer, has passed away at the age of 76. Farrell was the former head of the National Research Group, which was one of the leading market research firms in Hollywood. He had the idea to create the movie trailer and to test movies and poll audiences on their reactions. He also developed the 4 quadrants of audiences, based on men and women above and below the age of 25. His legacy will continue on. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this rather short edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicgrift.com and leave us a note in the forums. You can leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010, or you can write to John at chronicgrift.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check in the network on GetGlue, watch the classic episodes on Funny or Die, and leave us a review on iTunes. The Chronic Grift is also on Stitcher Radio, and you can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Grift on Facebook and Google+. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through the store supports the Chronic Grift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a collaboration of Critic Criticality and Lucky Shot Productions and is produced by John S. Drew. This is Michael Falkner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you at the theater.